What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. It was a wild Lords of War broadcast this morning. Oh, man. I want to see some good shit in the news. You know, it's funny. I feel like I'm a little out of touch with some things because I had never heard doom scrolling, I don't think. It was kind of a shock to me, and it just seems that's what we're doing. And so I try to look through the news today. OAN, Newsmax. And then I go and I look at some of these other news stations. The Huffington Post is running an article about, I was a happily married woman. This is what's considered news. I was a happily married woman with 4 children until I met a woman at Pilates. This is what they push on you as fucking news. I'm like, really? This is worth fucking reading? Jesus fucking Christ, man. Look, I said it earlier. I'll say it again. I'm not going to do the whole show on this, but I'm not falling for this pipe bomber shit. I'm just not. There's nothing you can do. You know, it's funny that Bongino was on Hannity, and I mean, he said it, so I don't know how wrong I'm taking it, and if you guys think I'm taking it wrong, please tell me. But you know, he said in the past he was paid for his opinions, but he's not paid for that now. I'm paid to be your, this is the quote, I'm paid to be your deputy director, and we base investigations on fact. So is that implying that he was lying when he was talking about it on his show, when he tweeted about it or posted about it on X or whatever you want to call it nowadays? That just goes to show you it's more performative, and that obviously people who sensationalize shit are the ones that gonna succeed. They're the ones that make money. Guys like us here at the studio who refuse to compromise their principles and their morals for anything, we're going to stay exactly like this if we don't conform to the way it is. But I thought we were supposed to be the new media. I thought we were supposed to be truthful. I thought we were supposed to tell everybody the way it really is. But obviously, the second you do that, sorry, I'm just getting used to these fucking things. As soon as you do that, you get pushback from people that are like you, more supposedly like you. The second you call out hypocrisy, the second you call out blatant lying, the second you call out, well, you're doing this to make money, but you're not doing it because it's morally right. People go, oh, well, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, Rob, if you would just not be you, you can make a lot of money. Think of it as acting. Just use your voice, say a pre-prescribed line, and you could make a lot of money. You know, I can believe something like that coming from Kash Patel, but I wanted to believe Bongino. I honestly thought he was on the level, and you know, everything that he said in that interview was just I hope you guys don't fall for it. I don't believe that this dude admitted to it. A black conservative Trump supporter supposedly put the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC. You're not going to get me to fucking believe that. So we'll see. I'm going to play this clip only because it's the only one I could find. It's from The Hill, but it's a rag. I don't know The Hill's a rag, but let's see.
When you attack our nation's capital, you attack the very being of our way of life.
Federal law enforcement officials say they have now arrested this person who placed pipe bombs outside the headquarters of the Republican and Democratic National Committees the night of January 5th, 2021. They say there was no new information that led to the breakthrough nearly 5 years later.
The Trump administration has made this case a priority. Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness. Just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work.
The case had gone cold, with authorities previously struggling to identify a suspect. Federal investigators say that man is now identified as Brian Cole Jr. of Woodbridge, Virginia. FBI agents were seen searching his home roughly 30 miles outside Washington, D.C. Thursday.
It was an individual that I think they think is a suspect. I would have never thought out of all our neighbors that he could be a suspect.
The FBI says it was forensic evidence that led them to an arrest amid a lengthy process of reevaluating information already collected.
We dove into more than 3 million lines of data to come up with this suspect.
The Attorney General declined to comment on a potential motive, saying the investigation is still ongoing. Cole is set to appear in court Friday. In Washington, I'm Kristen Eskow.
So I'd really like to see how that worked out today. I haven't been able to find anything. If he pled, obviously he's going to plead not guilty. But it is what it is, folks. I just, him walking it back, Bongino walking it back, just walking back what he had previously said multiple times. Well, scrolling through the news, and I've been watching a lot of shit on YouTube lately. One of the things that I've been watching is the civil defense attorney. And sometimes I see some of his episodes, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And yeah, I know. I'm reading that now. I don't know. And do you believe that it is beyond our government to force somebody into or coerce somebody into an admission of guilt? We were so hot and bothered about the fact that it could have been, a DC cop, a Capitol police officer who's now in the CIA, according to what Enrique said. And you don't think it's beyond the CIA to cover one of their own? I mean, they just needed to have that narrative that Trump supporters are violent, vile anarchists. When the opposite is true. I don't know. I still don't believe it. We'll wait to see. So I guess that goes with the whole watching this show or YouTube channel, or yeah. Thank you, Barney. I know It is absolutely BS. I'm not falling for it. Nothing anybody says is going to convince me otherwise. I'm going to trust Kash Patel. I'm going to trust fucking Dan Bongino after he admitted that he took money to sensationalize something that wasn't true. I guess I'm just never going to succeed past this because I'm never going to do it. And I guess that's fine. Oh yeah. So this guy shows cops violating people's constitutional rights, and if it was one of those, because there's a lot out there that just like clip shit and put it in a context where it's made to enrage you. This guy does something different from what I've seen from any of the others that are like this, or audit the cops or whatever that channel is. This guy plays all of the video, like the body cam footage, from start to finish, and it's clear. So that leads me to talking about something that happened recently, and I say recent, within the last couple of years. A guy named Matt Hoover, he had a channel on YouTube called CRS Firearms. And one of his sponsors, if you don't know how YouTube works, you get people to sponsor you because unless you're a big channel, like a big channel, 1 million or more, you're not really making a lot of money. A lot of these guys, especially, if you're in the 100,000s, you're making, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a month on views. The only way you really survive doing that or doing something like this is if you get a sponsor. And that's just to pay your bills. That's not, you become a millionaire when you're like Demo Ranch or Brandon Herrera or, anybody that's got 2, 3, 4 million subscribers. Whistling Diesel for however you feel about him. I know there's a lot of people that just don't like him. But he's got like 14 million subscribers. That dude makes enough money just on fucking views. Forget about sponsorships. And obviously the more people that follow you, the more companies want to sponsor you. Your rate goes up, blah, blah, blah. Well, in Matt's case, Matt Hoover, CRS Firearms, he had a little tiny channel, I'd say about 100,000, 130,000 maybe. He had a sponsor called the Auto Key Card. Now, the Auto Key Card was this little card about yay big, probably the size of a credit card, maybe a little bit bigger. And it had a drawing of what's called a lightning link on it. And a lightning link turns your boring pew pew into a fun pew pew. And so on the card, it was like screen printed on the card. And it was a novelty item to check this out. That's all it really is. It's like, if I were to download a drawing of it and put it in a frame and put it on my wall and people come in and this conversation started like, oh no, if that was real, I'd be going to jail for 10 years and a $250,000 fine. Because that, just the pieces, they consider an illegal machine gun. Not the gun itself. This is government overreach. Now, so he took on the Auto Key Card. I think the guy's name that ran it, that owned Auto Key Card, was a guy named Justin Irving. And so Matt took them on as a sponsor. He talked about it. He told people what it was, and he promoted it. Well, Justin Irving, from all that I read, got caught up in selling illegal machine guns because of a bank teller. Look it up. This is crazy. And the bank teller said, well, I think these are illegal, and literally contacted the ATF. What a fucking rat douche. I hope that dude never does banking with them ever again. And so the ATF decided to do an investigation. And through it, they found that Matt had been selling these things. Well, they called him to have a conversation with him. He went from, I think he's in Wisconsin. He went from Wisconsin to Florida on his own dime. They didn't come to his house. And they basically arrested him. And they said they charged him with selling illegal machine guns, selling unregistered machine guns. Sorry. They can't say it's illegal because it's not illegal. Unregistered. Now, Matt's never done a damn thing wrong in his life. You know, had a gun store. Pretty much a model citizen. The ATF didn't like him because on his show he talked a lot of shit about the ATF. Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to talk shit about the ATF because the ATF sucks. I see that they're trying to get better. Although Pam Bondi's in the way. She's there's been a couple of things that have come out this week that most two-way presidency in our history, right? We would have got rid of the NFA if that was the case. But anyway, so Matt goes to jail. Matt has cancer. The prosecutor in Jacksonville, Florida, who is a fucking douche, tried to get him for every possible fucking thing she could. The ATF. Well, recently Matt was diagnosed with cancer. Recently his cancer got worse. He asked for a compassionate release. This prosecutor, who had cancer herself, said no, that he's a danger to society for selling a picture. Look it up. A picture. A screen-printed picture on a little metal card that the ATF even said in court that when they had their technology department, an engineer, somebody who's built shit like this, cut it out and couldn't get it to work. They could not get it to work if they cut it on the actual line. They had to cut outside the line, which means they were making it up as they went along. They cut outside the line and got it to fire twice. Kind of like a binary trigger where it pulled the trigger and it just kind of like went by itself, but it didn't go full auto. But because they could do that, they said that it was readily convertible. Well, again, he asked for a compassionate release because he's got cancer. The prosecuting attorney, the district attorney, literally said that he's a danger to society and that his cancer is not that bad. Well, Matt got out of jail yesterday. Only to make things worse, instead of letting him go home to be with his wife and his kids. Oh, and there's something about that too. Hold on. I'll get to that. They put him in a halfway house. So the prosecuting attorney, the district attorney, I keep saying prosecuting, the district attorney, said that Matt only got married and had kids so that his wife couldn't testify against him. And that it basically insinuated that everything about him was a sham. This is what your government is doing to you. Now remember, this was also under State Attorney General Pam Bondi. She was the Attorney General of Florida when this was going down. I understand that this is a federal case, but if Pam Bondi was so pro 2A, she would have had a problem with this and did something about it. This guy doesn't deserve to be in fucking jail, to have his life ruined. Now, there is an appeal, because now this guy can't even... What's up, Max? This guy can't even own a gun anymore. So his livelihood is gone because he's a federal felon. Nonviolent, which will lead me into something else soon that I want to talk about. Nonviolent felon, but now he doesn't have a livelihood anymore. This is how your government has designed itself to be able to destroy your lives. Yeah, exactly, Mike. Hey, Mike, take a look, bro. I don't know if you can see that, brother, but I got them. And they sound great. Fucking $44. No more headaches from the headphones. So I got to thank my boy Mike Mack. Yeah, I got to thank my boy Mike Mack for not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday I was on his show, and we were talking after, and he was telling me about they are, man, telling me about these in-ear monitors. And he's like, bro, they were only like $40 on Amazon. I said, get the fuck out of here, bro. So I went and I looked, and I was like, oh shit. And they sound great. They do. So I owe you, Mike. Thank you. So that's the positive of the day. Yeah, they are wicked loud. The positive of the day is that Matt's out, but his fight is still ongoing. I know we're all tight on money, and it's probably honestly the reason why I haven't. There's been so many more important things out there that I would prefer you guys to spend your money on. It's why I haven't. There's a couple of reasons, but a big reason is because we're coming into the holidays, and everything's tight for everybody, and I would feel really bad about launching the GoFundMe. So I've been, like I said, I've been trying to get the things that I need to get to be able to go on the road on my own. But I would suggest that if you feel like helping people out, go to CRS Firearms. They have a shop that they sell like patches and stuff like that. And it's, like $1 or $2 or $3. The patches are pretty cool. One of the patches is like $5. And, that way it helps support Matt and his family while he was in jail, while he's in a halfway house, which he doesn't need. Their reasoning for this is because he needs to be reintegrated into society. I don't think the dude needs to get reintegrated into society. I think he needs to, go home and be with his kids. I think that'll help him out a hell of a lot more. But if you do feel like being charitable, go over to CRS Firearms on YouTube. Congratulate Matt. I'm very happy that he's out. So it's piece of positive news today. So the Supreme Court has denied. Okay, so while the Supreme Court has denied something, they also took something up. There's 5 Second Amendment cases right now. And I'm trying to bring this up so I can show you guys, because I'm here doing this myself. Okay, so I think it's the 8th Circuit is in Missouri's area. Missouri made this law, created this law. It was voted in, signed into law. It's called SAPA, the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And basically what it said was that the state had sovereignty over their citizens when it comes to the Second Amendment, period. That no police officers in the state of Missouri can aid or assist the federal government in anything Second Amendment related. Yeah. I took No Shave November to the next level. And it said that, one of the things was, if suppressors were produced in Missouri, I think Kansas has this law too, that, it doesn't violate the NFA because the NFA violates the Second Amendment. Basically, it was just the SAPA was protection for Missouri citizens against the federal government and the federal government's overreach. Well, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals said no. So they appealed it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court denied taking it up. This is our government for you, our federal government. Most pro-2A administration in the history of this country, supposedly. And this flies in the face of state sovereignty. The state is looking out for its people. One of the things about SAPA was that if any local law enforcement, and I know the cops out there that I know probably get mad at this, but if you get mad at it, then you're probably not doing your job the way you're supposed to be doing your job, is that if any local law enforcement assisted in an investigation with the federal government, like the ATF, that they could be sued for $50,000 for each count. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That would, if I was a cop, I would definitely not assist the ATF in this. So yeah, the Supreme Court just denied taking it up, which I'm kind of surprised by that. What they had done was they had remanded it back and said, under Bruin, and obviously the 8th Circuit took it up. Upheld it. So as we are supposedly, I haven't seen one thing yet come out of this administration being pro-Second Amendment. Somebody tell me if you have, because I haven't. And I do talk about the Second Amendment a lot. The one thing that, because it's your second natural right, codified in the Constitution, our rights were our God-given rights. The Second Amendment says the United States government cannot tell you what you can and can't own. That's what the Second Amendment says. And Marbury versus Madison says any law repugnant to the Constitution is void. So Missouri said, all right, well, I'm going to ensure that the federal government does not overstep its bounds on the Second Amendment. And these activist judges said, screw you. I'm tired of this. Now, one thing that the Supreme Court did take up was nonviolent felons having their Second Amendment rights restored. So the things have changed. Things have changed. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. Back in the day, I think if I'm mistaken, I'm more than willing to admit it because I'm never always right. When the NICS system was instituted, the 94 crime bill, it was if you were convicted of a felony that you could receive 2 years or more in prison, you had your rights taken away. Then at some point it changed to a year, and that included misdemeanors, like in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. And how I know about Pennsylvania, a friend of mine, female, had written a bad check for $276 in 1995. She was living in Maine. She passed the NICS background system check because Maine has it's right there. Like, it's on the computer. It's pretty much instant. If the NICS system, if the FBI website is actually running. Well, she gets a knock on the door from the ATF, and they want her guns, and they arrest her. This happened 3 years ago. And she's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I'm not a fucking felon. I passed the fucking NICS background check. And it turns out that Pennsylvania, it was in 95. It's not now, because now it's, you can steal. If you're in Philadelphia, you can steal like $2,000 worth of shit and not even get charged, not even get bail. How times have changed in 30 years. But in 1995, if you wrote a check over $250, it was a felony. So they obviously didn't catch up, and they didn't put it in the system, and she got flagged, and she spent a year fighting this over a bad check. Should somebody have their Second Amendment rights taken away from them for writing a bad check? This is where we get into this whole sticky law-abiding citizen thing. Do you understand, people, that there are so many fucking laws on the books? There is a law pretty much for everything. You ever hear about those things called blue laws? Archaic laws from puritanical times in this country, and how we were there, and the pendulum swing all the way over here now. So in Massachusetts, I've talked about this before. If you get pulled over for an unregistered automobile, it's an arrestable offense. Now, that could be anywhere. I know a 65-year-old woman that this happened to. She forgot to put her sticker on her plate, and Mass State Police are, I would venture a guess to say, probably some of the most corrupt state police. I got to say, the New Hampshire State Police that I've run into, they're all pretty based motherfuckers. I know on the liberal side of the state, which I don't live on. That's the 93 side where it's on the Mass border. I've heard some of those guys are, they came up from Mass, so they still have the Mass mindset. But the further north you go, you get more local guys that became state police, and they just know the culture and the people, and they're fucking respectful. And same thing with the sheriffs out here. The sheriffs in my county are just some of the most polite, like down to earth dudes. There's a couple of police departments here that solid. Just it just amazes me the difference, the drastic difference between my local cops and the local cops in the town surrounding me, and the state police that are all on this side of the fucking state. How different they are compared to the indoctrinated, oath breakers that are in Mass. Now, there's a couple on the south coast of Mass that are fairly cool dudes. I'm not going to shit on all of them, but for the most part. Now, they pulled this woman over, and I'm trying to, I've been talking to her about actually coming on and talking about this. I wanted to get her on the show for doing a segment, and she's almost there. She's just very worried about retaliation. This is what our forefathers fought against. You should never fear retaliation for telling the truth if those that are enforcing the laws are actually violating the laws. You should never be afraid of your government. Your government should be afraid of you. That's what was set up to be. So anyway, she got pulled over. She had just forgotten to put her sticker. Like, they have the little number stickers on the plates. And cop was like, oh, well, your car's unregistered. And she's like, no, it's not. I just forgot to. And he goes, well, this is going to cost you. So they arrested her. And in Mass, it's an arrestable offense for an unregistered vehicle. Now, I don't know if this would have happened. I have no idea, dude. I'm not fighting him. I mean, I would if it was a charity fight, but I think he's a cool dude. So, no, Patty's the one that told him to go fuck his dead mother. Which I'll get into in a minute. Hopefully, I don't know if Patty is even around. He wants to pop in here. He can talk about it. So she goes to jail. They obviously let her out on her personal recognizance. She's 65 fucking years old. She's got to pay to get her car at an impound, blah, blah, blah. She goes to court, and she goes, yeah, Your Honor, not realizing this. Yeah, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I just forgot. I'd just like to get this over with, because that's what we would all do. We would all just be like, all right, listen, I fucked up, forgot to put my sticker on the plate, but the car was still registered. You pay whatever fine that the court wants to pay and just get it over and move on with your life. Well, next thing you know, she gets a knock at the door, and she needs to surrender her shotgun. She's like, what? They're like, yeah, we have a record here, which they're not supposed to have. The government is not supposed to have a registry of your firearms, but Mass does. It's right on their website. So she's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Well, you were convicted of this crime that you could have, even though you didn't, and nobody would. That's the thing. It's ridiculous. Nobody would go to fucking jail for forgetting to put a sticker on their plate. Although, if they did, it would definitely be Massachusetts. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, it would be Mass. So she turned over her firearm, and she was talking to me about it, and I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? So I got her in touch with a couple of attorneys that I know that are Second Amendment attorneys. And in Mass, if you get convicted of a crime that could potentially have a year in prison or more, misdemeanor, you lose your Second Amendment rights. So I say that I'm a Second Amendment absolutist. I believe that if, let's say I go out and I get into a fight, I'm going to use me as an example. I go out and get into a fight, which is not going to be something that would surprise anybody. And I get arrested for assault and battery, blah, 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 blah. Now, I got into a fight with another man. We both chose to fight. Should I have my Second Amendment rights taken away from me? And should that guy have his Second Amendment rights taken away from him? No. But let's say, he goes to jail. And let's say he hit me first. He goes to jail. It's his first offense. He does, say, 90 days maybe on his first offense. Or maybe they throw the book at him and give him fucking 2 years in fucking county. and he gets out and he's served his time, should he have his rights restored? I believe yes. Do I believe that Hunter Biden should have been convicted of all the bullshit? No, I don't think he should have. That's how much of a to a absolutist I am. It ends at rape. It ends at molestation, pedophilia. That's where it ends. I don't believe those people deserve life and air that they breathe, let alone being able to own a gun. Maybe that makes me not an absolutist, but as far as I'm concerned, anything past that, if you're a repeat offender and you've proven to be a danger to society where you've been in jail 13 fucking times, yeah, probably shouldn't have a fucking gun. But so this case is in front of SCOTUS now. They've granted cert is what it's called, is how I read it, and this might be huge. I think that we are going to have a problem with John Roberts because he's very wishy-washy when it comes to the Second Amendment. But this will restore tens of millions of people's Second Amendment. And I would love to see it. I would love to see these people who have really never done anything wrong. Had a buddy of mine, and he had, in Mass, he had bought an AR. And the cops came to his house and they were like, no. He goes, what? They go, yeah, you were convicted of accessory to a stolen motor vehicle when you were 14. And he goes, what? I was a fucking minor. What are you talking about? He had been in a stolen vehicle, didn't know it was a stolen vehicle, driving around, and got pulled over. Everybody got arrested. And obviously he pled out, not thinking anything of it because he was 14 or 15. And he was a minor. And this is what they do. And the cops are all too fucking eager to enforce these draconian, unconstitutional laws. Perfect example, Kyle Kaluta. Kyle's out of prison, and I will be hanging with him on December 14th. There's going to be like a Christmas party kind of thing, and I'm hopefully going to be doing the show from there. I'm going to try to get there early. I'm going to do an interview with him live. I got the live rig up and running too, which is good because I got everything I needed to do the live stuff now. I ended up getting a really, really, really good fucking deal on a Starlink Mini, the mobile one. And I couldn't pass it up and just had him put it on my bill because I already have Starlink. And so we're going to talk about that and where he's at with his case. I mean, listen, I could never be a cop because 90% of the things I see people being arrested for, I would never arrest them. I'd be like, what? Like, you'd have a hard time getting me to pull you over. I saw this one example today, actually, earlier, where they pulled over a high school kid. Cop already had somebody on the side of the road, and traffic was slowing down. There was 3 lanes. He was off on and he just did this to the car. Now, I saw that, and I thought that, okay, go into that lane. It wasn't, he didn't say anything about, pull over. He was just motioning. It looked like he was there directing traffic because it was fucking jam-packed. And he goes, oh, this guy's running. So he goes running to his fucking truck. Fucking Tackleberry. Goes running to his truck, chases this car down, comes up, and it's 2 young kids. 16-year-old boy driving in Florida and his, I think, 15 or 14-year-old sister. And he's like, the cop didn't say 2 words, literally ripped the kid out of the car, didn't ask him for his ID, nothing. Pulled him out of the car, put him up against the car, threw him in cuffs, threw him in the back, and then went over to the car and berated his fucking baby sister. This poor girl was crying. She was on the phone with her mom. He said, nobody on the phone during one of my stops. And he took the phones and put them on top of the car. Big tough guy getting off on scaring little fucking kids. Do you know if I was a fellow cop, me and that cop would be fucking fighting? There's this fucking blue line bullshit. These are kids. These are children. The kid made a mistake. He thought you were telling him to get into the fucking lane. And you sat there for an hour. You berated the mother who was on the phone going, there's no, like my son, he's 16. He probably didn't pretty much called the kid stupid. As, oh, you have no common sense. My kid at 16 years old would know to pull over. Yeah, okay, dude. And then when he realized he fucked up, he let the kid go. The poor girl's crying. The kid's shaking. And he fucking cites him. He also said that the kid refused to give him his license. Now, this is all on body cam. And then he ended up giving him, because his wallet was in his school backpack. His wallet was in his school backpack. And said that he was driving without a license on his person. That's what they gave him a summons for. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, if I thought, because I know my mindset, if I thought that somebody was trying to get away from me and I chased him down and I walked up to the car and I saw 2 young kids, the kid was wearing this high school badge around his neck, I'd be like, hey guys, I was trying to motion to get you guys to pull over. Next time, err on the side of caution. You guys have a good day. Just something that simple. Maybe because I feel the way I feel about kids, because I have my own. But there's no reason to fucking assert your authority over a fucking 16-year-old. And I see this shit happening all the fucking time. This is systemic. Now, there are quite a few good cops out there who get it, who want to do the job, want to help people, want to put the real bad guys away. But there are way too many of these guys that were probably beaten up in high school. That just get off on this, get off on being authoritative, get off on scaring little kids. I'm fucking tired of seeing that shit, man. I'm glad I live where I do. I've had one interaction with my local state police. When I first moved here, I was driving down the road and they had switched. This was right at the time where they had our inspection stickers were here underneath the rearview mirror, and they had changed it from there to in the corner because the ones here were blocking the Easy Pass. And so they switched it to, the left side down here. And my truck still had a valid sticker. So he's coming up one way. I'm going down the other way. He fucking flips on his lights. And I go, this motherfucker's pulling me over, son of a bitch. So I pull over. He comes up. And this kid looks like he just popped out of his fucking mother's vagina. Like, I looked at this kid. You're talking as fresh-faced as it gets. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, I don't know. I barely think he was fucking 20 years old. I think, he popped out of his mom's womb and put a fucking state police uniform on. And he goes, good day, sir. He goes, I see you don't have an inspection sticker. And I said, well, yes, I do. And I pointed to it. He goes, he looks around. He goes, oh, you do? I said, yep. He goes, oh, okay. And he's looking in my truck. And I look at him and I just give him the look, dude. He's like, I didn't see that you had a front tag. And I said, yeah, it's there. You can go look. I said, is there anything else? He goes, can I see your license? And I just looked at him and I said, I respectfully decline. And he looks at me and he looks at my back seat and he sees like 3 cases of ammo. And he looks at me and he goes, all right, sir, you have a nice day. Now, if that interaction was anywhere else, like he got it. He understood at that point what he pulled me over for. He had no right to pull me over. And then, he asked me questions. It was completely voluntary at that point. And I wasn't under any duty to give him my name or my driver's license or anything. And I was respectful towards him. And I said, I politely declined. And he, like I said, he just looked at me and said, well, have a nice day, sir. And I said, all right, cool. I said, you too. And it was pleasant. Now, obviously, he was looking around for something at that point because that's what they're trained to do. Well, they got you. They got to find something. And I would say about 90% of cops would keep going. They're not going to cop to them being wrong. No pun intended. But the culture here is different. He was just like, okay, you know what? I kind of screwed up. Everything's cool. If that was any cop in Massachusetts, that would have been fucking pulled out of the vehicle. The second I told him, I respectfully declined. Pulled out of the vehicle, probably thrown in cuffs. My truck fucking tossed. I don't know where this goes, folks. I'm tired of doom scrolling. I don't know if you guys heard me earlier. My fucking ex said that to me. She called me so I could say goodnight to my daughter. And she just said, I'm going to go to bed and doom scroll. I'm kind of... I was like, well, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to fill your head with fucking negativity before you go to bed? You're just going to wake up with fucking negativity. She's like, I don't really care. All right, well, you don't care. You can doom scroll all you want. I'm not going to. But I'm hard pressed to find any good news. Matt getting out of prison. Good news. But past that, everything is designed to make us upset and agitated. And I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to be fucking... people accuse me of being fucking angry, and I'm not angry. Anger is... when I'm loud, I'm passionate, and I just loud because I'm a fucking guinea. But when I'm angry... Man, I get devious. I don't get fucking loud. I don't get boisterous. I'm going to come for the jugular. But I'm just tired of always feeling like fucking... So I stopped. I stopped doing it. I stopped going on X. I'm not going to be off of X forever. I'm just... I've noticed an absolute decline in my blood pressure these last couple of weeks, which is a good thing. And then the other thing is, since somebody mentioned it wants to fight with Gypsy Crusader, well, I guess Patty agreed to it. We'll see if it happens. But I had said that I think that there are some things that shouldn't be said. So Barry checked me on that. And I thought about it a lot. And he said, well, if you're a 1A absolutist, then, nothing should be off the table. Now, I don't believe that any speech should be subjugated. I don't believe any, I don't believe that there's hate speech. I think more of the thing that for me is, and this is going to be really wild and funny, but I think a gentleman, that there should be things that you don't want to say. I guess that's the way to put it. Like, I don't want to say anything about somebody's dead mother. Like, I would never tell somebody to go fuck their dead mother. I tell you to go fuck a knot in a tree or go stick your dick in a cat. But fuck your dead mother, to me, that wouldn't be something I would say. I just think there's a line. You don't go after kids, and you don't go after family. If you're man to man, or in this case, man to Patty, you handle it man to man. You don't bring outside sources in. You don't go after somebody's kids. You don't go after somebody's family that have nothing to do with it. Yeah, I know. So, like, I would never, disparage somebody's child. I would never, go after somebody's mother. The only mother I would go after is my own. And, you just leave that stuff out. That's just, I think that the rules of manhood. And I had said that, even guys that most of society, I don't believe this, but most of society thinks that, 1% MC guys are like gangsters and the dregs of society, and because people don't know them. And there are a lot of MCs out there that do some pretty wild shit and some pretty illegal shit. But the one thing that these guys, like their line is, if they got a problem with you, they're coming after you. They're not going after your family. Families and children are completely out of the equation. Like, absolutely not. There's no fucking way you deal with the person. And that's what I mean. I'm not saying Patty can't say it. I said he shouldn't say it. But honestly, what Barry said made me start thinking and start looking at myself and to see if I really was a 1A absolutist. And I am. I know that I am. I'm not telling Patty he can't say that. I'm not telling anybody they can't. They're not allowed to. That's the thing. Should you? No. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I don't believe that it's anybody's right to tell somebody not to. But for me, personally, the line is families and children. Like, I feel that strongly about kids that you don't cross that line. And I think the line is in here. I don't believe that the government should limit anybody's free speech. I don't know, guys. I want to see some positive. I'm trying so very hard. Like, I wake up in the morning. I don't even open up my phone for the first 2 hours. Like, I started doing that a couple of months ago. I was talking about it earlier on the Lord's War. And because it's at one point I was starting to get wrapped up into it. Like, I wake up and the first thing I did before I even got out of bed and take a fucking leak or make coffee, even fucking rub my eyes or put fucking eye drops in my eyes for my contacts, is I grab my phone and boom, I'm on X. What's going on? I didn't really give a fuck about my notifications. I just wanted to see what was going on. What was the next thing to get fucking morally outraged by? Sorry. I didn't bring anything to drink in here. And it was just, and then, I get up, I'm standing by the toilet, And I go out and I'm having coffee. And then I started reading The Prince again. And I had read it when I was 15 or 16 in high school and done a report on it because we were still based back then. And I started going down the road, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and I started going through all of the books that I own because I got all of my Stephen King books, and I made a pyre out in my big-ass fire pit. And then as I was going to go light it, they made a fucking fire ban here. So it's still literally sitting out. The whole pyre of Stephen King books is sitting on my fireplace, and I still haven't lit that motherfucker up. I get a motorcycle cover over the fucking thing. I still plan on doing it and filming it because fuck Stephen King. So anyway, I started going back to the books that I've owned for years and years and years. And I started going down. I started watching a lot of like inspirational videos and reading a lot of things on how to rewire your brain. Like I knew this. Like I know all about transcendence, and I know all about, you know, trying to be the very best person that you can be every day. And you're gonna fail, but it's in the work that you do that you become perfect. You'll never be perfect, but it's the process. So I started seeing myself go, yeah, absolutely fuck Stephen King. Scumbag. Yeah, I don't know shit. So I wanted to like try to rewire my brain, and because I was going off in a bad direction. So one of the things that I was watching is like the first thing you do, if the first thing you do is open up your phone and go on social media first thing in the morning, or text anybody or talk to anybody, if you don't take that time to find your peace first thing in the morning, it's going to set a precedent for the rest of your day. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'll give it a try. So I would wake up, not even look at my phone. Got a million fucking text messages. Why aren't you texting me back? Oh, dude, where the fuck are you, bro? I've been trying to text you since fucking 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not answering your text messages at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can go fuck yourself. I wouldn't do that anyway. But, 9 o'clock rolls around and I still haven't even picked up my phone. And everybody's going, oh my God, where the fuck is Rob? And so I started doing that, and I started noticing a difference. And like 3 weeks ago, I was on X. And it sucks because I always feel I've always had a good grasp on on my own mind, like the controlling myself. And this is why I came to the conclusion that I did, that I just need to disconnect from the matrix for a little while. And my blood pressure was 230 over 180. And I just, my ears were ringing, my head was fucking hot, my throat felt like it was fucking swollen, my skin felt like it was fucking crawling. And I said, geez, this isn't good. So I went to the fucking hospital, and they did every fucking test. They fucking shaved my chest, god damn it. Well, they shaved little patches in it. I was so fucking pissed. And yeah, I tell them all the time, listen, I'm Gen X. I came from a generation before there was even fucking taped messages. answering machines. It took cassettes. Okay. I will. The body keeps the score. Okay. So they did every test on the planet. They checked my heart. The guy goes, the doctor says to me, he goes, listen, Rob, he goes, your heart is healthier than it should be. He goes, I think that is due to the fact that, 15 years ago, you quit smoking and you're living healthy just before Walkmans. Yeah. Listen, dude, I'll go off on a tangent just because I'm trying to fill time and entertain you guys. But we used to go, when I was living in New York, we used to go down to New Jersey to camp. We had a camper, and we went to this place down in South Jersey. And my dad had one of those like Impala station wagons with the third row seat facing out back. And I just remember I had Metallica's Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All, and a fucking pile of comic books. And that's what I would do. I would have my headphones on. I'd listen to Master of Puppets, and I'd read comic books the whole way down to fucking Jersey. I missed cassette decks, Walkmans. And then the Discman sucked because they always fucking skipped. Anyway, back on topic. So he said, listen, man, your heart's perfect, literally perfect for your age. Your lungs are completely clear. He goes, we ran every single test, everything. They ran Lyme disease test because they, what I was presenting with seemed like Lyme to them. And I live in probably the Lyme capital of the country. And he said, no, you don't have Lyme. You don't have this. You don't have this. You don't have this. You don't have this. He goes, are you under any stress? Crip, listen, dude, I am fucking amazing at that as it is. My only problem is that for as jaded as a fuck as I am, like seriously, as jaded of a fucking asshole as I am, I still somewhere in me want to try to see the better in people. As much as I say that I'm a misanthrope, I can tell someone and who they are within 10 seconds of fucking talking to them. And I let, more than I'd like to admit, I'd let my heart override my brain. That was my last relationship for 10 years. I let my heart override my brain. But yeah, dude, seriously. So it was that moment, my really good friend is a psychiatrist. She's a doctor. My best friend. She's like my sister. And I call her up and I said, Ked, because I call her Ked, like she is my sister. I go, Ked, so what the fuck is going on? She goes, you're having a fucking anxiety attack. I said, get the fuck out of here with that faggot bullshit. She goes, no. She goes, Rob, listen. I said, don't talk to me about your DSM fucking bullshit. I don't, her and I fucking argue about some of that stuff. Although she is based as fuck when it comes to being a psychiatrist. I got to give her a lot of credit, especially for the work that she does. She works with a lot of trafficked children and who are now adults and having a hard time in society. So she's got a really fucking hard job. I couldn't do it. So I do give her a lot of credit. And there's a lot of things about the DSM. She goes, nah, this is fucking bullshit. She does. And she'll call people out on their bullshit. And you rarely ever hear that. That's why she's got, a full docket all week long. And she goes, no, you don't understand that your subconscious really controls pretty much everything that's going on in your body. So I decided I was going to stay off of X. And I've been off for 2 weeks now. And my blood pressure is... And then I go and I read the news and I can feel my fucking face getting flush. and you guys know this. I mean, anybody that watches the show, that follows the show, that you know, friends and fans and family, some of you, you know that I say this a lot, but it's more apparent now than it's ever been before what mainstream media and those that are running the PSYOP purposely do. It's just like, you know, we had a taste of this after 9/11. Do you remember the color codes? Red was super high, you know, alert and, you know, imminent attack by the brown people in the suicide vests. And then yellow, we were like, oh, maybe. And then green, we were like, oh no, there's very, very little threat of an attack. But we were always in the yellow and the red. Like, I don't remember ever seeing it in the green, not once. So everybody's like, oh my God, we're going to get attacked every minute. Every time we, every time we turned around, there was always something. And the natural progression of that was dun, 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 COVID. They had start. Yeah. You are correct. They started with that. They started with Waco. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. You know, first of all, thanks, homie. And then, second of all, you're probably right. So I think it started even before 9/11. I think it started in the 90s. The big push was in the 90s after Waco. And then because of Waco, we got the 94 crime bill. Because of 9/11, we got the Patriot Act. And then we had Obama expand the Patriot Act. It was Smith-Mundt, right? And then because of all of that combined, the government was able to get away with what they did through fear. We gave up our sovereignty. We gave up our freedom. We gave up our security, our sanctity, for what we thought was a little bit of temporary security and safety. And we just let it happen to us. There were very few people out there that fought back. And I have been a fighter my entire life, one way or another. I think I would probably roll over and die if I didn't fucking fight and stand my ground on what I believe in. I don't think I would want to exist anymore. If I had no fight left in me, then I'm probably dead. But it's about balancing that fight with being stressed out. And is the fight worth the stress? Now it's about picking and choosing my battles. There's things that I will never, ever, ever waver on. But now it's, all right, do I really need to do things on X to get more followers and be on there every day and read through the bullshit of all the negative garbage just to get to the segment of people that are watching the show right now? You know, you guys are awesome. I really wouldn't be here without you. And I appreciate every last one of you. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate, the friendship. So Like, do I need X? Everybody says I do need X if I want to grow this. But would I rather it take longer to grow and grow it organically and not have to do this constantly and see things that make me fucking stress the fuck out? Oh, look at this motherfucker. Completely contradicted what they said to me earlier. Oh, so you're just going with the prescribed narrative. And I can't stand that. I'm going to fight against Pam Bondi. I have said it since he got elected, since he fucking announced that that's who he wanted. And everybody's like, no, Rob, he's not even in office yet, dude. You're just... I said, Pam Bondi is a snake in the fucking grass. She's a wolf in sheep's fucking clothing. Oh, dude, she was there. You know, she defended Trump. And she did this, and he's loyal to people. And I get that, because there's a lot of people that have done fucked up shit that I'm loyal to. But I call them out on their bullshit. And then they're not my friend anymore. Well, this is what you did. That's fucked up. This is what you did that was diametrically opposed to the thing that you said you would never fucking do, but you did it so that you can gain followers. And then I call somebody out on it, and it's like, oh, see ya. Rob's an asshole. Cool. I'm a fucking asshole. I love it. So is it worth that? I don't think so. I miss... There's like spaces that I miss. Going and hanging out with people that I think are fucking cool. You know, having the interaction on the show is always cool. And I was going to do a space today, but I figured by the time I got it up, it probably wouldn't have went anywhere. I'm sure somebody else is fucking taking my time slot on X. I don't know. There's just a lot of fucking people who are all out for themselves, and they don't care what they do to attain their goal. And I'll never do that. Again, like I've had this fucking give, send, go in the like conservative pen set it up for me because I didn't fucking know anything about it. I didn't really want to do it, but she believed in me, so I was like, all right, fine, just set it up. And I never put it out there because I still always felt bad, and I always want to be able to do shit on my own without having anybody fucking help me. And I just thought that there were more worthwhile gifts and goes out there, and I wanted, you know, people to be able to, you know, afford to help the people that really, really need the help, like Kyle, you know. And I've been able to do what I've needed to do this for this first phase without doing it. And I just, you know, it was always not from anybody, but it's just in general. This is not directed at anybody, but there was always, you know, the conversations I've had with people where, dude, you need to have more presence. Like when Enrique asked me, you know, to do the show back in fucking May, and I fought him on it. I was like, dude, no. And he's like, dude, your fucking voice and the shit that you say, and you got to come on and do a show in the studio. I'm like, nah, I don't want to fucking do it. I don't want to do it. And thank you, Seuss. And he just fucking berated me, called me a fucking faggot. He's like, don't be a fag. He goes, do the fucking show. Don't be a pussy. And I can deal with fag, but call me a pussy. And I'm like, all right, fuck. So I started doing the show. You know, I never planned on doing it. And he says to me, he goes, dude, I would have thought that you had 20, 30,000 followers. Because when I started doing the show, I only had like 4,200 followers. And he's like, dude, I swore you would have had more than that. But I'm not out there every day. Like, and even when I was on X, I didn't post a lot. I would make one what I would think is a prolific or important or, meaningful post. And I felt it was meaningful in the morning. And then I would just maybe make a couple of comments, maybe click a couple of likes. But I just got fucking so enthralled in the fucking drama of everyday life that was going on X with, everything that's going on in the country. And, I started getting programmed into this whole thing that I have been preaching against. And it happened incrementally and tiny increments. A little bit here, a little bit there. So the next thing you know, I'm just doing this. And I'm just going about my day. I'm making food. I'm on X. What's going on now? So, taking a break. I think I'm going to be back next week. So I am going to do a space on Monday for Monday's show. Wednesday's show is going to either switch to Tuesday or Thursday at this point. My son's wrestling matches are on Wednesday nights now, and I don't miss any of his games, whether it's football or wrestling. I'm always there. So I have to switch my schedule for Wednesday. I don't know about Wednesday, but Friday will be normal time, but I am going to go back. We are going to do a space on Monday. And I hope you guys join. I hope you guys share. I'll probably put it up on Sunday. Hopefully everybody shares. Next week, I'm trying to book a couple of guests. It's kind of, with my schedule and all the shit that I'm doing, it's kind of hard doing it by myself. And, but I'm still trying to book guests. And I hope to have a guest next week. Somebody that could talk about what's going on with this chapter 135 in Massachusetts. Somebody else who got caught up like Kyle. And I just read a text from him. He tried calling me yesterday, and I'm not going to mention who it is. Yeah, it has been acting up. So, yeah, I just got a message from him, and he tried calling me, and I missed it. And so I'm going to get a hold of him, and then I got somebody else I'm hoping for Friday, because I really like having guests. I really like having the interaction. And I miss talking to you guys, too. I miss having the space going at the same time so we can shoot the shit, especially on a day like today where I don't have a guest. I would prefer live interaction, ask questions, talk about what's going on. So we're going to start going back to the normal schedule again, except Wednesday's going to either switch to Tuesday or Thursday. It all depends on... Actually, it's probably going to be Tuesday because Patty's show goes on at 7, and I could just do the live show until I could do from 5 to 6:30 and then stay in the space afterwards. And we can keep the space going until whenever. So it'll probably be Tuesday, and that's just for the next 2 months. But anyway, I've been working on getting, like I said earlier, working on getting the stuff that I need to try to go on the road. And it looks like at some point, I'm going to be down in Mass on the 14th. And hopefully I'll bring you guys the interview with Kyle Kaluta. And then it looks like probably around the 20th, I'll be heading to Miami. And if I get confirmation this week coming that I am going, I will put up the Give, Send, Go. And if you guys, I know it's Christmas time. If you can't share, if you can't donate, then please just share. That's all I can ask. I'm not even 100% sure I'm going to do it. And I'm still, again, it's been sitting for months and months. And I just don't want to do it. But I don't want to be stuck here anymore. I want to get out there, and I really, at this point, I want to go to Dearborn. I really, really, really want to go to Dearborn. So my goal is if I do go to Miami, well, it's going to be outside of Miami, but we'll do a live show. I'll be in Enrique's studio down in Miami at some point. Then I'm hoping by the middle of January being able to get on the road and go, if all works out. Again, I'm still not sure that I'm going to do it, but because I've been making it so that I can do it on my own without any help, but it's taking a lot longer than I thought. That said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Yeah, I definitely think that, especially with everything that Trump's saying about Somalis, I think Dearborn's going to be the next fucking place that blows up. And if it blows up, it's going to blow up big. You know, you may not like Jake Lang, and there's probably a lot of things that he's done that I just don't agree with at all. Listen, it is 1 degree here right now. So I am not a stranger to cold. It's going to be -10 tonight. So, and then we just, Monday, we got a foot of snow. Our first snow of the season was a foot. And I was out plowing. So I'm not afraid of the cold. But anyway. Fuck that. You know, that's the trade-off. That is the only trade-off living here in New Hampshire. Is we are the freest, safest state in the entire country. We have the least amount of crime. It is literally, for the most part of the state, it is a conservative bastion. It really is. The trade-off is it's fucking cold and we get snow. I'll take the fucking cold and the snow. But anyway, I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today. I really didn't have a lot to talk about, but I somehow made it work. And I do truly appreciate your patronage. I appreciate you guys coming on the show. I appreciate all the comments. Really means a lot to me. And I want you guys to know that I am never, ever, ever, ever going to give up. Nothing's going to deter me from doing this because I feel such a pull towards it. And I'm not going to let anybody throw me off my game. And hopefully I get to see you guys on the road. Thanks, Zeus. Love you guys very much. I am really going to work on this week trying to get up fucking sweatshirts. I really got to do that. I got to find the time to fucking design them. Because if not for nothing, I want my own fucking sweatshirt. That said, you guys have a great weekend. Call your loved ones. Tell them you love them. You never know when you're not going to be able to. And with that, I'm out. I am going to have it an extra small. Oh shit, I'm still live. Fail.